edition of the MAPA COVID-19 news. I'm at the big nest because it's a Monday night. Dad?
Thanks, Will. Earlier today, the MAPA COVID-19 news team sent out a survey to several Walpole area students, and Will is going to go over the results of that survey.
These 3 following questions were asked to these students. Do you want to return to school this year? What do you miss most about school? And what are you doing to fill your days? 80% do not want to return to school this year. 100% listed friends as their thing they missed most about school. 33% also listed that they were missing their teachers. To pass the time, most of the kids, or all of the kids, were either watching movies, taking naps, going outside, or doing arts and crafts.
It's interesting stuff, Will. Why don't you have a seat back at the big desk? Later this evening, we're going to send out those survey questions to even more students. So if you get that text, be sure to answer as quickly as you can and look for the updated results tomorrow on the 30th edition of the MAPA COVID-19 news. Well, the weather in Massachusetts today was just awful. Gale force winds, pouring rain, electricity out all over the state. At one point, we heard that there were over 100,000 customers without electricity in Massachusetts alone. We sent our camera operator out to talk to a local volunteer fireman. Just so happens that man is my twin brother, Paul. And here's the video we had with him earlier. Paul, are you there?
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you. What was that?
Paul, we asked, what are the conditions like out there?
It's still very windy out here. As you can see behind me, there's some serious damage to some of the structures. This is a very good indication of why we want people to stay inside. You can really help out your local fire department. Your first responders would appreciate it if you would just stay inside.
And you tell us that was a public playground area?
Yeah, that's right, that's right. This used to be a functioning playground area. Luckily, there were no children present when the structure came down. We do believe it was the winds that took this down.
So no children were hurt, correct?
Yes.
Well, thank God for that.
Yes, that's right, that's right. So, yeah, we're going to clean this up, take care of all of it. Maybe we'll rebuild a new one over the next couple of weeks for the kids. You know, I know that they play hard out here. They'd appreciate something like that.
Well, Paul, thank you for all your help. You stay safe out there.
Okay, you stay safe too. Thanks. Okay, all right, bye.
Interesting stuff. And now to Maggie's Monday night weather and sports.
Well, since Will's at the big desk, I'm doing the weather today. So, as we all know, it is very rainy in Massachusetts. But that's okay. It'll pass. It is cloudy in Florida. It's okay, Andrea. You can come visit Massachusetts when it's sunny. It is sunny in Kentucky. Bulls, make sure you take care of that sun before it goes away. And it also is sunny in Texas. Turners, get ready for another sunny day. It's also sunny in California. And that was Maggie's / Will's Slam Dunk Weather and Sports. Back to you at the big desk.
Great job, Maggie.
And now it's time for everybody's nightly segment. What's Daddy drinking?
All right, what is Daddy drinking? This evening, I've got a cold glass of ice water, and to that, I am adding Crystal Light Blackberry Lemonade. Just put a little squirt right in there, mix it around. Oh, so good. Reminds me of Kool-Aid as a kid. Now, this evening, we have a special feature coming up right after the credits of the news program. Maggie and I did some storytelling. If you want to stick around and check it out, feel free. If you don't want to, don't worry, it might not be your thing. But now is the time that we tell you should subscribe, hit that like button, and leave us a comment to be entered into this Friday's drawing. But I think that's it for me, so I'm Uncle Michael.
I'm Will.
And I'm Maggie.
Signing off. Take care, everyone. Have a good night. Hi everyone, I'm Uncle Michael,
I'm Maggie.
and we are going to try and tell you a story. We're going to try and make up the story completely on our own, and the only thing that we're using to guide us are these story cubes. We love these story cubes, especially if you're a storyteller like myself. So there are 9 cubes. You can see them all right here. And we're going to shake them up, mix them around. Maggie's going to tell the sentences, and I'm going to go through the paragraphs of the story. And as we do, she's going to lift up the cube so you can see exactly what part we're talking about. All right. So we got a magnet, a cane, a handprint, an eyeball, an arrow, a keyhole, a key, an apple, and a magic wand. All right, let's see what happens.
Once upon a time, there was a really old man.
The old man lived by himself. He hadn't always lived by himself. At one time he was married and he had some children. He had 2 children, in fact, but they both passed away. His wife had passed away many years ago, so for the last several years he was alone. Every night the man had the same routine. He would have supper. He would sit down and read either the newspaper or one of his favorite books, and he would get ready for bed. But on this one particular night, things were feeling a little bit strange. He wasn't quite sure, but as he got ready for bed, he started to get very nervous.
He got very nervous because he knew that the next day he was gonna go to he got very nervous because he felt like somebody or something was watching him.
He wasn't exactly sure, but it made him very uneasy. He walked quietly around his house, checking behind all the doors, behind all the furniture. When he got into his bedroom, he looked inside the closet, and he opened the door to his bathroom. There was no one there. Even inside the shower, he looked. But still, he couldn't shake the feeling like there was someone else with him in the house. He tried to settle down to sleep, and finally drifted off and fell asleep. It was very late. The next morning, the man woke up, still shaken by what he was feeling the night before.
So the man kept checking every single door in his house. But then he came to the kitchen door, and it was locked.
The kitchen wasn't normally locked. It hadn't been locked in many years. So who could have locked it last night? He had just been in there for dinner. It wasn't quite time for breakfast, and he didn't remember sleepwalking. So who could have locked the door? He wasn't sure. But he had to get the door open and get inside. He went searching all over the house for something to open the door with. He couldn't find the keys, and he couldn't find a lockpick. So he started to get very nervous.
Later that day, he finally found the key to the kitchen door. He was still very concerned because he didn't remember locking the door the night before.
So who was it that locked the door? Maybe the answer was on the other side. After finding the key underneath the pillow on the couch, he walked over to the door. The floor was creaking beneath his feet. Creak, creak, creak. He knew he shouldn't be scared because he was the only one in his house. No one had even come to visit him in weeks. But still, as his hand trembled and reached out to the doorknob, a fear began to grow inside of him. He could feel his face getting red and flushed. Oh, he was very worried now. What could be on the other side of this door?
Then he opened the door, and there he saw a handprint in blue paint.
A single blue handprint, right there on the wall. in the kitchen, where no one had been except for him for the last several weeks. Who could have left that handprint? Was it the same person that locked the door? Thinking he was just going crazy because he had been getting very old, the old man decided to have some breakfast.
So, when he had breakfast, he had one apple. It was strange again because he remembered there being more apples yesterday. But now there was only one.
Only one apple was left in the house. One apple, one blue handprint, and a locked kitchen door. This was very bizarre indeed.
After he had had breakfast, he went to the living room to read a book. When he got in there, he saw that on the ground there was an arrow.
The arrow didn't seem so out of place, as he was an avid hunter. He had weapons, guns, bows and arrows, a crossbow, even an old slingshot. He used to collect things. He would tell his kids about when he would go on safari in Africa, or when he would go hunting in the mountains. Sometimes he would bring home a special treat, maybe a rack of antlers, maybe just some mysterious meat that he picked up along the way. But as he sat there reading, he kept thinking about one apple, one blue handprint, and the locked kitchen door. Suddenly, an idea came to him. An idea came to him almost like magic. His face lit up, and he started to remember, now I know what might have happened.
He quickly ran to the other side of the living room, where he found a book, a very old book, filled with different types of magnets.
Yes, in fact, he had found the book full of magnets. Suddenly, the old man realized what had happened. The single blue handprint, the locked kitchen door, one apple, the mysterious arrow being on the floor. They weren't so mysterious after all. You see, this man had gone to war many, many years ago. Unfortunately, he suffered a very serious head injury. Back in those days, they couldn't repair injuries the way they can now. So they simply put a metal plate inside his skull, stitched him up, and sent him home to recover. Well, it turns out that the night before, he had been reading that book about magnets. And wouldn't you know it, chapter 13, that's right, Unlucky 13, is a chapter about the world's strongest magnets. It says right in the fine print, anyone who has had a traumatic brain injury which has been repaired by metal plates should not read this chapter because the magnets could cause your brain to malfunction. Well, the man didn't read that closely. He went right through chapter 14 and the magnetic waves scrambled his brains. So, when he was done with chapter 13, he walked to the kitchen, he threw away all of his apples, he tripped, putting his hand into a bucket of blueberries. Then, to gather his balance, he put his hand against the wall, leaving one blue handprint. On the way out of the kitchen, he locked the door, thinking that it was something dangerous that had to be locked on the inside. Then, he went to bed.
The end.
More stories to come. Hope you liked it.